Dibs County Code Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session and cause number M332840. Case to style the state of Texas versus Haley Manuel. Ms. Manuel, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Manuel, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God? Ms. Manuel, you may put your hand down. Ms. Manuel, your full name is Haley Manuel. Hold on, Mr. Cobb, you can't come into court without a tie.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you had one earlier. I don't know what you
I
did with
had
it.
one earlier, I saw I just took it off.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
let me go ahead.
let's see. Now, Ms. Manuel, are you represented in this case by your attorney, Attorney John West? Attorney West, how are you doing?
Good, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. West, do you waive a record in Ms. Manuel's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Manuel, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information alleges that on or about May 6th of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of theft. Do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes.
And to this charge, Ms. Manuel, how do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest? Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? Is somebody forcing you to enter a plea of guilty, or are you doing it of your own free will? Your own free will? And Ms. Manuel, are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Ms. Manuel, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. Ms. Manuel, do you recognize this document? On page 2 of this same document, Ms. Manuel, there are a set of initials, HM, that's on the line next to a box that says guilty. Did you place your initials on this document?
Yes.
On page 3 of this same document, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes.
On the next document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant? There are 2 boxes that are that are checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? Yeah, speak up.
Yes.
And the second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes.
Ms. Manuel, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. West, go over these documents with you?
Yes.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? State, well, Ms. Manuel, are you a citizen of the United States? State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objection. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. West, you've advised and counseled Ms. Manuel. Is there any evidence that she is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Manuel, your attorney, Mr. West, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation? Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Ms. Manuel, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In exchange for a plea of guilty, the state agreed to recommend 1 year deferred adjudication for community supervision, $500 fine, 4 calls, 40 hours community-based service, attendance and completion of a theft prevention class, and any other terms and conditions probation deemed appropriate.
Okay. Ms. Manuel, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudication probation. During the 1 year deferred adjudicated probationary period, you'll be
Yeah. Get it. Oh, my God.
Yeah. When I leave here.
Yeah.
okay.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Manuel. The state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus $307 in court costs. The total fine in court costs is $807. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month, and you'll be required to pay a restitution fee of $15. Your total monthly installments, that is, the total amount that you'll be required to pay each month while you are on probation is $156. Will you be able to pay the $156 each month? You will also be required to perform 40 hours of community service and attend and complete a theft prevention class. You will also be required to adhere to and understand the terms and conditions of your probation. Ms. Manuel, do you understand the state's offer? Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer? Ms. Manuel, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Ms. Manuel, if you successfully complete this probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It will not result in a conviction on your record, and you may qualify for a non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney, Mr. West, about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Now, you're going to stand on the X next to your attorney and face and follow the directions of our clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. Right.
Right. the right thumb and then it's the right thumb. Right. And this is just like when you read here, the work with provision, the hours of the closing.
Next case is cause number M 332-752, case is style of state of Texas versus Sharena Johnson. Ms. Johnson, your full name is Sharena Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Johnson, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Ms. Johnson? I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Now, Ms. Johnson, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney John West. Attorney West, do you waive a record in Ms. Johnson's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Johnson, let's see. Ms. Johnson, I have before me a document that is titled Information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, it alleges that you, Sharena Johnson, on or about May 11 of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of theft. Ms. Johnson, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Ms. Johnson, how do you plead guilty? Not guilty and no contest.
Yes.
Now, you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Johnson, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments, also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, there are a set of initials, SJ, that are on the line next to a box that says check guilty. Are these your initials? On page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is this your signature? The next document that I have is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that is titled defendant? There are 2 boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? Second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? I also have a document that is titled Discovery Certificate. Oh, she didn't sign this.
Oh, I'm sorry. 50%. Sorry.
I also have a document that is titled Discovery Certification. You recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Johnson, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I've just showed you, did your attorney, Mr. West, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that you signed? And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Ms. Johnson, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes.
State. I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit Number 1 into evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objections? State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted into evidence. Mr. West, you've advised and counseled Ms. Johnson. Is there any evidence that she is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Johnson, your attorney, Mr. West, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation? Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yeah.
Ms. Johnson, I will accept your plea of no contest. Excuse me, your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In exchange for plea of guilty, the state's agreed to recommend 1 year deferred adjudication, community supervision, a $500 fine and court costs, 40 hours community-based service, theft prevention class, and any other terms and conditions probation deems appropriate. Yeah.
Ms. Johnson, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. During this 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs in this case. And the court cost in this case is $292. You will also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a urinalysis fee of $15 each month, and you'll be required to pay a restitution fee of $15. The total amount that you'll be required to pay each month while you are on probation is $155. Ms. Johnson, would you be able to pay the $155 each month? You'll also be required to, let's see, I think you're required to perform 40 hours of community service, and you'll be required to attend and complete a theft prevention class. Ms. Johnson, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Johnson, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Now, Ms. Johnson, if you successfully complete this 1 year probationary period, this case will be dismissed. It will not result in a conviction on your record, and you may qualify for non-disclosure. You can talk to your attorney, Mr. West, about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Ms. Johnson, you're going to stand on the X next to your attorney and follow the directions of the clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day. And Mr. West, you'll be free to go as well and you have a blessed day.
Yeah.